Dave, JT has a question.
Oh, I'll come teach it. I didn't. I thought. We had it. Do you know how to ring the bell?
No, I don't actually. Yeah, no, I should learn.
There's only one string.
I've been afraid of it because I see that sign.
This one says, "Do not, with the love of God, touch this rope." And no, everyone's like,
And then I'm like, okay, well then how do you ring it?
"Yeah, like,
Yeah. So maybe we need to update.
it's one of those things."
Yeah.
That's a whole sermon topic for his opening words. You put up a sign that says, "Be afraid, be very afraid, never touch." And then you're like, "How come no one rings the darn bell?" It's
Yeah.
like, well, the sign.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a good U Chicago tie in into conversations around incentives and specifically perverse incentives, right?
Yeah.
You think you want to create one outcome, but you end up accidentally creating another.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that could be the.
You read Richard Thaler, all his sort of stuff, Nudge,
Yeah.
and all these sort of like.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Chicago, in person and at home. I am Corey Russell, and I am a member of the First U Board of Trustees. And I'm honored to welcome you to worship, along with our worship team, Reverend Dave, our storyteller, Liz Kreslin, and our music leader, Dr. Adam Odell. First Unitarian Church has been a home for progressive religion in Chicago and beyond since 1836. The church sits on the western shore of Lake Michigan, south of the Chicago River. We honor the indigenous peoples for whom these are unceded ancestral homelands, as well as the diverse and vibrant indigenous American communities who make their home here today. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but by the values we share, and the mission to grow our souls and heal the world. Whether you just stepped into this church for the first time or for the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. No matter your race or who you love or how much money you do or don't have, you are welcome here. If you are a visitor, we're excited to have you with us. Please let us know that you were here by filling out a visitor card, making sure to include an email address and dropping it in the offering plate. This will ensure you get our weekly newsletter. It should look like this and be in the seat back in front of you. If not, please feel free to ask the welcomers at the front of the church. If anyone has a joy or sorrow that you would like to have read aloud, please fill out a card, which is also in the seat back in front of you, and give it to one of the ushers as they collect the offering. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like the minister or pastoral care committee to know about privately, you may put cards in the sanctuary box at the back at any time. Please join us after the service in Chris Moore Parlor for refreshments and good conversation. To get there, you go up the stairs to my right, to your left, and follow the crowd or ask anyone to guide you. Now for a few announcements. After service today, again, we have fellowship in Chris Moore Parlor. We have a coming of age meeting at 11:15 in the youth room. The women's group is meeting today at 1 o'clock on Zoom. And then our Faithful Defiance of Authoritarianism group will be on 53rd Street near Nichols Park across from the Target at 1 p.m. A couple things happening this week at church. Point out on Wednesday night, we have a few different things. The senior support group will be at 3 p.m. Also, and that'll be on Zoom. 5 questions with Rev Dave will be happening in Chrismore Parlor at 6 p.m. Also at 6 p.m. over here in Holt Chapel, we'll have game night led by Liz Kreslin. The theme will be word games this time around, such as bananagrams and things like if someone wanted to bring Scrabble, those sort of word games will be played. Also on Thursday, the Engage Buddhism practice group will meet at 5:30 in Chrismore Parlor, so we encourage you to join that. Previewing next Sunday will be our Music Sunday, led by Adam, our music director. The theme will be songs of resistance and liberation, very timely. The choir will be performing, there'll be instrumentalists, small group guests, guest artists, and it should be a great time. Let's see, 2 final things. A few weeks ago, Reverend Dave announced the Bookshare program over here on my left, your right. There are a number of books that are wrapped. If you wrapped a book and offered a book, please go grab a book. And even if you didn't, there's still 6 or 7 books over there, so feel free to grab a book. And then lastly, we have the General Assembly delegate process coming up. So we want to start thinking about that. The only qualification is that a delegate has to be a voting member. They can ask for a petition, and they'll have to get 15 signatures on that. You can speak to Evelyn or Cheryl, who I believe are both here today. I at least saw Cheryl. Or ask myself as well. Delegates can attend online again this year, and it'll be June 14th through the 20th. So we'd like people to start thinking about that. I think with that, we are good to go. It is good to be together today. Please join me in reading our covenant as we light our chalice. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
It's okay, you can do that. So I don't know how it is for you, but the hardest part of getting my work done, and this has been true for some years now, is that my typewriter is now attached to the entire world. I should be writing, but I'm not writing because there's a pinging noise every minute, and there's new news coming in of which I need to be aware. I need to be connected. I need to know what's going on. Some of it is wonderful, wondrous, and terrific. Some of it. Most of it is shocking, destabilizing, worrisome, and keeps me in a constant state of nervousness. So again, no writing gets done. Now, as I think about it, of course, the problem isn't really that this is getting in the way of writing, although that's a problem. That's not the big problem. The constant pinging, the constant assault, the constant flow of news that keeps us nervous gets in the way of our living. And I tend to think that's a bigger problem. Real life, living, breathing with a sense of peace, sense of well-being. That's where my heart is today, tending to our sense of well-being. In the first days, now we're more than 10 days in to 2026. In those first days, we've had some shocks to the system come over the wires in that way. I lift up today what is called Operation Absolute Resolve. Not my absolute resolve, I'm going to tell you that. The U.S., this was a headline, came over there, U.S. captures Maduro, takes over Venezuela. We're running Venezuela. Have you done your bit to run Venezuela yet this morning? Something for you to think about. What are you in charge of in Venezuela? What's that? New news coming out of Minneapolis. Loss of life. I lift up the name of Renee Good this morning in this opening. I will just use the gentle words and say there's violence without cause and violence without purpose. And I put a name to it this morning, but as many are saying, it's but one name from a long list of unspoken names, a long list of the nameless. And so let us not shrink in the face of the enormity and the anonymity of suffering from lifting up the suffering we see and making space for it in our hearts. The implications of these events and more like it, it's not just this, and I'm not going to just do a litany of the dozen things to get you on edge here at the beginning of this peaceful celebration of life. That's where I end always, is welcome to the celebration of life. And we are here to celebrate life, but part of that is noticing what's going on in our collective lives. And these events, it strikes me, the implications of these events are still unfolding for us and for real people all over the world, in our community circles that radiate out. We got people. We radiate out. Had the blessing to be sitting in a Venezuelan restaurant last night, celebrating one of our birthdays, a Venezuelan birthday party, and talking about how Operation, what's it called? Absolute Resolve is touching Venezuelan lives, right? This is the stuff that isn't pinging, coming over the internet. And so I use these examples to call us into that which is important. What is important? That's what a call to worship is. I just taught a workshop on what is a call to worship. Well, I think we start the day by naming what's important. Real people, real lives are important. People are precious. That's written on the building or in the tablets of Unitarian Universalism, right? Tablet Moses. People are precious. Every person is precious. That's what calls us here. What calls us to that which is worthy? People call us here. The greatest hope we have in watching that news feed, and I'm not suggesting we close our eyes to what's going on in the world. The greatest hope we have is that in watching the news feed, it's going to guide us in our actions when we get away from the screen. We have to remember to make our lives real, to make our lives count. Resistance is real. Restoration and recovery are real, and they are possible. That's the hopeful heart that calls us to worship here today as well. That's why we come to church, right? We don't live all of our church and all of our lives in this one room, but we do a little bit of work together to recover, to restore, to spark the imagination of resistance that we may go out in the world with greater peace in our hearts and greater power in our hands. Welcome, my friends, to the celebration of life. Let us now worship together.
Please arise in body or spirit for the singing of our opening hymn, number 170 in the gray hymnal. We are a gentle, angry people. Again, that is 170 in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit. We will sing verses 1, 2, and 6. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. Gentle, loving people. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, everyone. Before I get started on my story, I would like to make a quick announcement. So Corey mentioned that we'll have our monthly game night this coming Wednesday. We will also have a kid game night as well for ages 1 through 9. So if you were thinking about coming to game night and you didn't have childcare, fear no more. We are available in the nursery. So looking forward to seeing you then. And today, the name of our story is called What Changed While We Weren't Looking? This is a story about the quiet changes that happen in the world and in us, even when we aren't looking. Virginia liked the things that she could see clearly. She liked signs, labels, and instructions. So when her friend Dawn ran into the room one morning and said, "The world has already turned," Virginia crossed her arms. "That doesn't make any sense," she said. "Everything looks the same." Laura, who was sitting on the floor drawing slow, careful circles, looked up. "What do you mean, turn?" Don shrugged. "That's what I'm wondering. If something really big changes, shouldn't we notice it?" Jerome, who was older and liked to listen more than talk, stood quietly by the window. Outside, the trees were bare, the sky was gray, and the ground looked cold and hard. After a moment, he noticed. Maybe some changes don't look big at first. Virginia shook her head. If the world changed, I'd know. There would be noise, or lights, or at least an announcement. Just then, Laura pointed to the windowsill. "Hey, was that pot always there?" They all looked. It was a small pot filled with dirt that had been sitting there all winter. No one had paid much attention to it. "Of course it was," Virginia said. "Nothing ever happens in it." Jerome leaned closer. "Look again." They bent down together, pushing through the dirt in the tiniest green sprout. So small you might miss it if you weren't really looking. "That wasn't there yesterday," Don said. "Yes, it was," Jerome replied gently. Just not where we could see it." Laura smiled. "So it was changing the whole time." Virginia stared at the little sprout. The change happened underground. Outside, a bird landed on a branch of a tree that looked lifeless. Jerome spoke softly. "When winter turns into spring, there isn't one loud moment when everything switches. The world has already turned before we noticed." Virginia thought about that. So maybe change doesn't always ask permission to be seen. Don laughed. Maybe it's shy or patient, Laura added. They took turns watering the tiny plant. Each drop seemed small and ordinary, but together they mattered. Before they left the room, Virginia paused. I think I understand now, she said. The world has already turned. We just don't always know where to look. And quietly, without any announcements at all, the plant kept growing. Thank you.
Please take a moment to greet your neighbors. Oh, wait. Sorry. Sorry, I totally stepped over that. Sorry, that normally happens while I play, and I'm just like,
One of the things we do in this house is practice sharing what we have. The weekly offering is just one symbolic way we do that. Well, it's both symbolic and it makes money flow to good purposes. Those purposes every week are twofold. One, the ministries of this place, where we hope to nurture the spirit and change the world, and the ministries going on in the so-called secular world, where we gift money to an organization we think is doing important work. Every month, we all get to propose who we ought to share with, and this month we are sharing with the Pilsen Community Academy, which is a public school, in which this will go to a fund with particular support for families, new neighbors, migrant folks, in order to make sure that kids have what they need and continue to make ends meet in this time. Today's offering will now be gratefully received.
Please rise in body or spirit for the singing of our centering song. I'll sing it once through and I'll have you all join me. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls, these walls, these walls between us. Join me. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls, these walls, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls, these walls, these walls between us. I see some of you wanting to dance but stopping yourself. Don't. Here we go, one more time. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, Thank you. You may be seated.
We share with one another our joys and our sorrows, and I know my ushers are going to run at me with all the cards that I'm missing, if that's the case. Laura's saying no cards. Make some cards. Some joys. Generate joys and sorrows. We all have joys and sorrows. Only some of them make it to the cards. But I do encourage you, there's a practice each week that if you want to lift up something on behalf of yourself, your family, someone you care about, or the world that we carry with us, know that you're doing it for the whole body. The whole body. This is one such example. This is prayer for justice and healing for the families of Renee Good and Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, each killed by immigration officers in Minneapolis and right here in Chicago, both soon after dropping their children off at school. Thank you, Liz Kreslin, for this. Oh, she says, credited or not, I don't care, because that's how she rolls. Beautiful words. I share a joy having visited Ellie Hall, who is recovering now, and she just expressed to me, I hope it's okay, Ellie. She expressed to me how grateful she was for this whole community turning out, and friends who are visiting her, and friends who are taking care of the pieces, and that reflection on the way that this place makes a meshwork of support in the moments that you need it lifted my heart more than anything this week. So blessings in your continued recovery, Ellie. We look forward to seeing you back here soon. And for those of you who are wondering why I was pointing at the pillar, we have a Zoom. That's one of the cameras. And so if I point up there, I'm not signaling the angels watching me. I'm signaling the folks often who are 15, 20 people who are here with us in an important part of our community. So for all the joys and sorrows, those that are here in the room and those that are over the wires, those that are spoken aloud and those that are carried silently because they're too close, too raw, too real, let's make space for them. Let's continue to care for each other with simple human kindness. It's what we have to offer. Amen.
For our meditation this morning, I have a poem by Rashani Rea, The Unbroken. There is a brokenness out of which comes the unbroken, a shatteredness out of which blooms the unshatterable. There is a sorrow beyond all grief which leads to joy and a fragility out of whose depths emerges strength. There is a hollow space too vast for words through which we pass with each loss, out of whose darkness we are sanctioned into being. There's a cry deeper than all sound, whose serrated edges cut the heart as we break open to the place inside which is unbreakable and whole while learning to sing. May it be so.
zdraví. As a young man, not that long ago, I took a Czech language class in night school. It was during an optimistic moment right after the Velvet Revolution in that country and after my own little revolution of college graduation. I dreamt then of going to see it all firsthand, of being part of that liberation moment and the takeover of that whole society by the young. I was not a great student of that language. I've actually not been a great student of any language, though that's a different sermon or reflection. Very, very few words and phrases stuck, and to this day, I've retained only the capability to order a drink. I can order coffee for the morning, and I can order beer for the afternoon. And I can raise a toast, na zdraví, with questionable pronunciation, okay? Does anyone speak Czech in the room? The problem with serving a church next to a university is you might have like the head of the Czech language department sitting there in the fourth row, just breaking their heart, you know. In this case, I didn't see anyone protest, so you've now learned a little Czech language today. That's all I know how to do. Tojo mám pivo, order a drink, and give a toast to your health, it means. These meager resources probably reflect how my 23-year-old mind imagined the center of my cultural engagement once I reached Prague. Now, it's 30, 40 years later, and I have been lucky to travel the world, and I still have not gotten to Prague. And I know there are more words necessary to form a real human relationship. I was being humbled by my very modest Spanish yesterday and its inadequacy to the simplest of human tasks. And yet, my cultural naivete, my language incompetency is less and less embarrassing to me as I get older. Perhaps that's evolution. Perhaps we're built in a way as humans that everything gets less and less embarrassing as you get older, and maybe it's a good thing. Maybe we walk around with a little more freedom, using our few goofy words to reach out to other people. Less embarrassing to me. If all I know how to say is, to your health, it might be okay with me. If you were to choose just one way to engage a potential new friend, sharing sustenance and wishing her abundantly good health wouldn't be bad choices. Let's take a step back. If we had one wish for those we love, it would be wise to start with good health. Might be the place we would end. I wish you good health. I seek to be a friend and neighbor who is conducive to your good health. I even will limit my actions in a way so that they do not deprive you of your good health. 3 simple elements of covenant I suggest to you that might do us some collective good. I don't mean just in this house, but maybe in American society. Our good health and our connection to each other are the places, I believe, from which all other flourishing flows. So I will make much of health today, because I believe health is connected to life, health is connected to justice, and justice is the question of flourishing together, and it's the project we have undertaken. Now, health, in this most basic philosophical sense, is the capacity to do. We need to stretch and consider the different indispensable dimensions of our capacity as human beings. When I hear health, sometimes I think too simply. I think of that 3rd grade food pyramid. That was in mind this week because the government has changed the food pyramid. Which, as an aside, if you wait long enough, the food you actually eat show up, and now I think it's potato chips on top of, I'm picking on them. But I had too thin a conception for too long as to what constituted human health. What does it mean to be a healthy person? And a thin conception of human health is not what we need at this moment. We need to thicken it. We need to take that which is unidimensional and seemingly too simple and make it manifold and make it do work for us. Now, I'm older, so I, except for this week, don't usually think of that food pyramid. I think of health in this issue of chronic health, chronic illness, excuse me. I think of it in terms of getting in and getting out of the hospital and serious matters, and that's important, that kind of health. Can you get out of bed today? Can you walk under your own power? There are all these important questions of health, but still it's not enough, too thin to think about that as what human health is. What could it mean to us personally to be holistically healthy? What does it mean to be, let's start with a litany. What does it mean to be emotionally healthy and thus capable of doing something in some way? That's the kind of health I'm talking about. I'm not talking again about health as compared against an abstract chart or some standard, some measure. I'm talking about health is the power to do a thing. Emotional health, then, maybe is the power to love another person. And if you're not emotionally healthy, then you have a limitation on a power that I believe is your birthright, right? Let's talk about what does it mean to be mentally healthy and well. I've used that sense of peace, sense of wholeness, mental health, mental well-being. It means you have a power to encounter the world clean and free and well. It's important. It's human. What does it mean to be spiritually well to you? What does it mean to be financially well? That phrase we talk, oh, he's well off. Oh, what does it mean to be well off? What does it mean to have enough money to buy supper tonight? Financially well, there's a kind of wellness there. What does it mean to be communally well? What is a healthy community? And what is the power, I ask you, that a healthy community, or for that matter, a healthy family, what is the power a healthy family has that an unhealthy family does not? This is capabilities, understanding health as a matter of the capabilities that equip us to go out there and be human, or to sit right where you're sitting and be human. All of it is a matter of this armamentarium, this collection of resources we have, not just to be a thing, but to do. We are made human not by mere existence, but through action. Breathing, living, loving, building, stretching, painting, teaching, nurturing. These are the actions of humanity. And so I am concerned about health. Again, not some measure in the doctor's office, not the blood test. You can take now, it can give you 450 different markers that you can take home and study. Oh, it's so appealing to get that information. But I don't need a report with 450 markers to understand the state of my own health. I can look at my life and see where I have capacity to do. I can imagine what it is I desire. And then I know if I am healthy, if I am able to realize that desire in some way. What am I talking about? Maybe financial health, it is, I realize I desire a Ferrari. And I don't have a Ferrari. Maybe that means I'm financially unhealthy? I don't think so. That's the question. What power do we need? How does it relate to the desires we have? I'm 57 years old. I desire to have some friends still. Just like I desired at 22 years old to go drinking on the plazas of I desire to have new friends. What powers, what health does it take for me to have friends and people enter my life in healthy relationships? That's what I'm asking. As a community, what does it mean to be healthy, such that when new people come and sit down in these pews, which are actually beautiful chairs, when people come and sit down in these beautiful chairs, what does it take to bring them in and say, welcome, rest here. We have something for you. We're setting a table, and there's something for you to eat there. What kind of community health does it take? Larger ecological health. What kind of health does it take not to destroy the world around us, both by killing the people in the streets, which we seem to do, and by killing of us all together by destroying the planet, which we're seeming to do in slow motion. So none of it will see it happen. But I think those two events, the killing of the people in the streets and the suffocation of the planet, have something to do with each other. One of them's happening too fast. You watch that video, Renee Good? It's all happening too fast. And I watched it 5 times in a row. I shouldn't do that. And I just said, please slow it down. Take a step back. Take a breath. What is the healthy way we interact with each other? What is the healthy way we police one another, if that's a thing we need to do? What does that look like? Health is the capability to do, and the doings of a human being, I mean a whole human being and a whole human community, the doings of a whole human community are manifold. And so health is therefore manifold, and we need to pay attention to it in all of these dimensions. And so moving from this health in the sense of community to justice, justice then is about a more fulsome kind of universal health care. That's a term that we use, and I grabbed it in the moment that there was some new funding for the ACA, and I was happy about that. But that's just the start of what we're talking about with health care. And universal health care is ensuring that everybody in our circles has these basic capabilities, these basic capacities, such that they may manifest themselves as a human being, a full human being. And yes, being a full human being means you get to drop your kids at school. It's just one thing, but that's a whole sermon unto itself. Does justice look like having the power to drop someone at the doctor, or to drop someone at school, or to walk to the bodega down the street? There's a whole list of really simple things when we talk about these capabilities and human health and the relationship they have to power. I'm not talking about world-changing power to seize nations. I do not have that power, and I do not want that power. I do want to drop my kids at school, and I do want to walk to the store, and I do want to buy dinner, and I want you to be able to as well. And I want people whose names I only learned upon their death, I want people to have that power as well. I want to reach back in time and say, you have the power and the freedom to stand, yes, and protest even sometimes. The audacity to stand in the street and protest something. It's a human doing. Standing up and saying something different is a very human doing. It's why we love democracy. We don't love democracy because it's expedient. It's not. We don't love so many of these human doings because they're efficient. They are not. We are not efficient people. We're not trying to be efficient people. We're trying to be human people. And once we ourselves have been granted the spaciousness of our own humanity, we have the duty to let some other people in on that resource. That's simple. I know I'm preaching to the choir in this one. You all are the water sharers, right? You have the glass. You gladly share it with those who are thirsty. That's who we are. And that's justice. We are responsible and accountable for ourselves, our own health, and we are responsible and accountable for the health of other people. And all of justice and all of doings flow from this idea of making sure that people have capacities and powers. This is why we talk so much about this idea of empowerment. So I want to talk just for a moment. I'm going to give a shout out I'll gesture over here. Now I'm not gesturing to a camera. If I ever gesture to my right in this church house, I'm talking about the University of Chicago. Now, over at the University of Chicago, there's a wonderful philosopher and lawyer named Martha Nussbaum. And if you haven't spent time with Martha's work, I was almost going to invite her today, but then I had the fear she would come and hear the disservice I would do to her work. So don't tell her that I was even talking about her. Those of you who are Chicago students loaded up on this side, and God help me, professors, don't mention it. But she has done this incredibly important work on this idea of capabilities and justice. And as we look about around the world, that we think through this whole new lens on justice means making sure that everyone has the capabilities to be a human in their own way, right? And this changes everything because we worry about the distribution of goods, how much people get of each sort of thing, and like it's a mathematical problem. And instead, she encourages us to think about these capabilities and to make sure everyone has the minimum that's required to be human. This really puts teeth in this idea of human dignity. That's our first principle. If we still do principles here. The inherent worth and dignity of each person. What is this dignity? Evelyn's nodding. Evelyn's one of my dignity people. She's one of our dignity pillars. What does dignity mean? Well, dignity means certain things like I have enough food to eat. How can I be a child of God with the dignity in the image of all of creation, beautiful and perfect, and not deserve sandwiches when I need a sandwich, How can I not have the right or the power, I want to say, to have children, and to choose to have children or not have children? Every power is also the choice not to use the power, right? The power to be a parent, the power to fall in love, have a partner, not have a partner, the power to be left alone when you want to be left alone, the power to be welcomed into community when you don't want to be sitting alone. This is it. This is the kind of thinking of these capabilities, and we don't have to think about the distribution of all of it. We don't have to think about the distribution of Ferraris. The distribution of Ferraris is not our problem. We don't care. Doesn't matter. I don't care how many jets Elon Musk has. That's not my concern for today. My concern for today is that the basic minima of all of these resources and reserves are distributed universally. This connects this dignity idea to our universalist notion. Yes, absolutely everyone has to have these powers available to them to be human, manifestly human through doing. The talk of dignity is cheap. Dignity is about power to be human. And we're all going to have different powers in different ways. The thing that's powerful about Martha's work, Professor Nussbaum's work, is this idea is thinking through things like through disability rights. Well, what if I don't have the same power to be a judicial scholar that she has? Well, yeah, does that mean I get no power, right? What if I don't run so fast, right? Does that mean I get no power of participation anymore? What if I'm losing my hearing, which I am? Does that mean I'm out when that happens? That can't be right. That's not our vision of this world. The assumption in America, the background of this kind of like justice-making project was built on an idea of social contract, right? Familiar with that phrase? Based on this idea of reciprocity. You come with your neighbor, well, John, you do for me and I'll do for you. You kick your amount and I'll kick my amount, and we'll form a cohesive core and we'll build a cathedral. Yeah? Gee, that presumes we all have the assets to kick and share. This isn't about reciprocity. This isn't about mutual benefit, which so often our little churches, we become mutual benefit societies. Oh, we're here for each other. We like our friends here. We make sure each other we're taking care of. That's not bad. That's family and it's community. But that's not real justice. Real justice is that everyone we see, we touch, we hear about, and it's 40 doors down, they all count. And we as justice makers are working to ensure that they have minimum powers. Not minimum distribution of government cheese. I always refer to government cheese because I was a child of the 70s, and that was it. We got to give everybody free cheese who's hungry. Screw that. It's not about giving that, about giving everyone the power to create, the power to earn, the power to build, the power to give care and to receive care. And that's what we're trying to do. So this idea, this way of thinking about justice as power and power derived from health, I think is fundamental. So let this be a church of empowerment, to be fully human. And before I leave it, I want to say the ways of being fully human aren't just narrow. I accidentally hit on some. Yes, it's fully human to eat. Yes, it's fully human to be able to do work. But the radical idea of this capabilities approach is that it's fully human to play. Should everyone have the ability to go out and play somewhere safe without glass on the ground? Yeah, it's human to play. Should everyone have the empowerment to sing? Everyone? Are you sure? Are you sure you want everyone to sing? Should everyone have that power? To the best we can, yes. This is what we're talking about as justice. This is what we're talking about as the foundation of rights. So when we look at the way the world works, and our eyes are drawn to these extreme cases because, yes, I don't want to lose hold on this day. Part of the reason was you have the right to walk down the street and not be killed. Everybody has that right. No matter what T-shirt they're wearing or how they're speaking out or which neighborhood they're walking. That list goes on and on. You have the right to walk down the street and not be killed. But let's not stop there because that's an awful scarce collection of rights. You have the right to be playful. You have the right to be expressive. You have the right to be creative. You have the right to love the people you want to love and the way you want to express that. That is so radical. And this place is a beacon, not a bunker, as the saying goes. This place is a beacon of all of those powers being birthright for all the people, those who show up here and the 99.999% who don't. Let that be the message and purpose of this church. We want people to be and become more powerfully human than ever and to feel that freedom. And we're a partner in that project. May it be so, and amen.
Please rise in body or spirit for the singing of our sending hymn, number 1028 in the teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. And that is 1028 in the teal hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit for the singing. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of
I invite you to reach out and take a hand, if you will, for a closing word together. As you go from this place, may you be blessed. May you be blessed not only as a human being, but as a human doing. May you be blessed as a human becoming every day. May you go from this place and be powerful, more powerful, to think, to love, to breathe, to serve, to play, to rejoice, to sing, to dance. May you be surprised by what comes next in your life. And may you share all of it with the people around you, for we are stronger together. Go in peace. Amen.